Creek welcome to Gilbert and Alison Arngrim.
France when they all sing the song constantly.
I thought we would try to out to
They do? The whole country? I have to take a trip soon, I think.
Well, in case anybody doesn't know, I'm sure all of our fans know that this month was the 50th anniversary of the debut of Little House on the Prairie.
You know what that means? We old.
Oh, right there with you. There's 9 years to get through, which is going to be really hard to do. But one thing I wanted to ask to start off with is, I think, and I'm not sure if anybody knows, but we could have had a different Laura, and she's sitting here on the stage.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
It was the search for Scarlett O'Hara for 9-year-olds, basically. Everybody, all over the country was like reading for, and I then went in and read for Laura, and then like went for Mary, and I knew I was wrong. I was so wrong.
Let that slide. You also read for Mary.
I did.
Okay.
I did, and I knew I was not a country girl. I was wrong, and so I didn't get it. I went, yeah, and then I went about my business, and they made the pilot, and I went, oh, no, good, that's good, yeah, and then they called me back. And I was like, how many people you got in this thing?
How many times do I have to audition for a role? I know I'm going to get one sometime. That's funny. Yeah, that would have been a completely different show. Imagine if I got cast as Nellie.
Now, when we were doing it, sometimes we imitate each other. Between scenes, we would take turns doing each other's dialogue.
We did.
Can you still do me?
Who's going to do the cooking? Oh, come on. I didn't do your dumb teeth. It's so weird. By the way, it's not that, it's this. You have to do this. That, and then say, oh, I did like a nice imitation. She mocked. This is the story of our entire friendship.
Well, so after you got denied, Laura and Mary, how did Nellie come about?
Well, so I go back to Paramount Studios, and I said, how many people are on this? I have no idea. I never read the books.
I didn't know that.
In Harvard.
Wait, did you go to school?
Barely. No, wait. Did you read them?
I was reading Little House in the Big Woods in 3rd grade.
Oh, God.
With Mrs. Humber was my teacher. I remember that because she was evil. Her name was Humber, always way of respect.
Well,
And in 4th grade, it was Little House in the
We were
Prairie.
doing James and the Giant Peach.
No. I went to Prairie School.
I did not do Prairie. So I get there. I don't know there is a Nellie Olson. I have no clue. Zero clue. And they hand me these pages. And my dad's there with me. And I'm like, looking at the pages. And I turned to my father and I said, this is not a normal part. And he says, what are you talking about? I said, she's awful. She's a bitch. He says, what? And I said, she's a total And he says, read it. I start reading it to my dad. He starts cracking up. He says, okay, stop. Don't read anymore. Don't change anything. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't run it. Look, put the pages face down. Do not even look at them. You go in there and you do exactly whatever that was. Michael and there was Kent and there was, I think it was Susan. It was the whole crew on the and he said, go ahead. And I'm like, okay. And I mean, it was practically the whole episode. It was the I don't the country girls have a penny. I mean, it was the whole thing. And then of course, my home is the best home in all of Walnut Grove.
Oh, she can do the whole thing. Do it.
I can do the whole thing. We have, I can do it in order. We have real lace curtains on all the windows and 6 genuine oil paintings. And all of our furniture is bought and not made. All of it is bought and too. And my father, Olson's Mercantile, says it's not polite to say what things cost, but it costs dear.
I can tell you that.
She loves the store. She doesn't say my father. No, my father, Olson's Mercantile. Like, 50% off on Saturday. She's like pushing the store. And then, of course, the thing was, it was the frickin' dishes. That's what got the. We have 3 sets of dishes. One for every day, one for Sunday, and one for when someone very special and important comes to visit, which we have never even used yet. And I think that was the thing I liked so much when she is such an idiot. She does not know what she has said. You live in Walnut Grove, you don't know anybody. The Queen is not coming to dinner. And I thought, this is hysterical. She doesn't know, she just gave this away. And I guess because I got that joke. And so they all crack up, and then they say, could you do it again? And I said, yes, would you like me to change something? And they said, this is really the thing about the house again. And by the time we got back, we got in the car, went home, half an hour later, my agent was on the phone. It's like, done.
Yeah.
They called my agent like as I was walking out the door. They were like on the phone. So.
Not surprising. Smart people.
Well, the reason you got hired was that last thing when he asked.
I'm adorable.
Because you were adorable. Because you did the audition, but then
No, it was because I was walking out the door.
Yeah, so cute.
I was walking out the door and Michael or Kent, one of them, yelled, hey, just a minute. And I turned around and I said, how tall are you? And I'm 9 years old. I went, this tall? And left, and they went, oh, that's her. You idiots, how do I know how tall I am? 9.
That's how when you're 9, that's where your mom puts the ruler and makes the mark on the walls.
I mean, I could have said I'm a 6X. I knew my size because it was not normal for a 9-year-old because I was basically the size of a 6-year-old.
I could put you in my purse.
I know, and I think you tried.
So you both had actually careers before you even got to Little House. It's not like it was your first.
I've been in Hollywood for at least 10 years already.
I made a picture.
I was on Gunsmoke. Actually, literally, that was the first episodic television I did was Gunsmoke.
What year is your SAG card? Remember since?
I had an aftercard first because my first job was a commercial.
I think
You yourself, 1966, doll.
Okay, yeah, mine is 1967.
Yeah, so for these 2 or 3 years, we were just complete drains on our parents and did nothing to contribute.
Did you see that interview? My mom did an interview.
It's like hanging out in our living room right now.
She did an interview for Canadian TV, and they're interviewing her, and she was talking about the whole family being show business. She was saying, and then when started coming, eventually Allison got work, and it's like from birth to 6, I was slacking.
Just a drain on the family. That's me. I was just a total waste till I was 2.
So what you're saying is you were both forced out of the house to pay for your parents' level of income they want.
That's one way of putting it.
And many did. I can honestly say, I got every damn dime. I have the first nickel I ever made. I had the trust fund and the whole thing. And
our money was put away.
So we had money put away. But my parents also, it's something about, I guess they were actors, they were like, oh, you got work. I got my check. When I was 13, my dad took me down to the bank and opened a checking account and said, okay, I have to co-sign. Here's 6 of them, don't spend it all in one place. And I have the bank account and I have little checks. And they take my check, this is how much was in taxes, and you pay this, and I got my money. I did chip in for groceries. We did have the incident where we just ran out of money one month. And it's like, oh, you're buying food. And I did buy groceries, but that was it. But I got every freaking dime of my money. So then, I have
town. He had to do his own taxes. He had to know what was coming in, what was going out, and they didn't spend a dime of his money.
I was 12 and they made me go to the accountant and I was like so bored. They're like, wake up, pay attention. But it was really good. But you remember crazy Jess Peterson? Worked with my dad at Arngrim Peterson Management. She came to
I swear this is like hanging out with us.
Jess Peterson worked with my dad manager, and I had the trust fund. It's the whole thing where it's the bulk sealed account, the Coogan account, and it's supposed. So Jess comes in one day and says, okay, it's up to a really good amount, but you're not making interest. It's only paying interest up to this point, and it's insured up to this point. We need it to like roll over to another account. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, but it's still, I'm gonna like go, we're gonna call the lawyers, I need to like change your account so you can get more money because you're missing out on interest. I was like, seriously? And they did. And I said, Jess Peterson, as you know, is a fairly wild person, did some crazy things in his life, but he's going to heaven because Jess Peterson is the only man in history to break into a child actor's bank account to put more money in.
That is remarkable. No, it's unheard of.
I'm going to have the audience do more questions probably about the show specifically, but I am curious for each of you, what was your proudest moment on the show, either for yourself in a scene you were in, or just an episode that you were very proud of over the time you were working it?
Proud?
Or most challenging, whatever you consider.
I'll tell you what, actually, this is just off the top of my head. It's just immediate. We were doing one of the Halloween movies where one of the Halloween Dream, I think it was the Halloween Dream.
A lot of Halloween.
We were in a runaway wagon, and I think this was the episode. And Albert was passed out in the front. We were dressed in Native American clothes.
Yes, yeah.
Tucson, and I had to throw barrels of gunpowder out of the wagon and shoot them with a rifle, and I hadn't shot a gun on the show yet, and I hit it dead center every time. I was proud of that. It's the little things in life. So watch out. Just saying.
Allison, for you?
So many. Challenging was definitely the stuttering girl episode, the music box. I mean, it's great because
challenging.
I get to hang you later, so that was great.
That is fun.
I get to hang you, of course.
But a lot of people want to hang me.
I had to torture the little stuttering girl, Katie Kurtzman.
That was the hard. That stuff was hard.
So she's crying. It's Katie Kurtzman. She went on to be like in hotels, a lovely actress. She did stutter. She's fine. She's sobbing and stuttering, and she's good. And it's like hard to watch. And I had to go to speech class after school. When I was a kid, I had a horrible lisp. I took like Cindy Brady. I did my name with Allison. And I had a friend in speech class who I thought was named Wanda. A week later, I found out her name was Rhonda. She made progress later. But she said her name, what's her name? Wanda. And I said, I'm Allison. We had great hair. And so I was in speech class with stutterers and stammerers.
Oh, no.
That's who I had. So then I'm like talking.
You didn't tell me any of this when we were
I couldn't talk. I could talk, but and
no, but you didn't tell me that you were like.
No, I was a man. And so then this poor girl is starting to stutter, and I'm going, say Peter Piper picked a peck, say it faster, I can't hear you. And she's sobbing and going, Peter Piper. And I'm like, look, yes, this is unpleasant. I call it the episode where I hate me.
There were these moments, and I'll share this one really quickly too, where we had to do things that we felt were really awkward. Like the episode with Todd Bridges, where they asked me to try to wipe the black off of his face. And I said, I said to Michael, I don't want to do it. It's just not okay, and it's weird, and it doesn't come off. Why would I do that? And he said, listen, we're teaching people about tolerance, and you're the teacher. You are the Buddha, so you have to do it. And I said, well, that's different now.
So both of you were able to transition from child actors into adult, where so many others have just not made it. Can you tell me what type of support did you have to make that transition?
I got lucky that at one point in my early teens, my family hired a manager for me who created a production company, and we started producing our own films, starting with The Miracle Worker and The Diary of Anne Frank, and on and on and on. So I had that when the show ended. I was still producing with Half Pint Productions, and that sort of set me up to live in that movie The Week World that I did for so many decades.
You were making your own work at like
14, or 12, or 14.
14, she was hiring herself, basically. Who else?
Smart, I hired.
Smart. I went through, we both looked at the way because, okay, the big thing when you're a child actor is you hit the awkward phase, like 13, 14.
Off camera usually too.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
they're cute and then they
And
go
then
away.
funk.
And then they come
Yeah.
back and they're...
And then but it's the problem is, it's like, okay, if it's an event, if you're very small for your age, we're both kind of small for our age and look really young, that's great because they can hire you to play younger. Because if you are, and you know, when you're 14, 15, you want to look 25, right? But that's bad because they can go hire somebody over 18 to play 15 and 16 and 17 and not have to have the teacher on the set, not have to end your day at 8 hours, et cetera, et cetera. So looking fabulous and older as a teenager means kiss of death, which wants to look younger, and they go, okay, well, they keep going. But it's an awkward age, and then if you get gangly or strange, or your face breaks out like a volcano, like I did, or you become the acne queen, or you have braces, like we both did, it can be a real problem. You can like maybe not get work. But we were on a show, we'd already signed.
Our awkward stages were on film. You've seen them. We lived them. Oh, God.
Yeah, we went through the whole puberty nightmare, like everything bad, skin braces.
Yeah, but they didn't make you put apples in your dress that fell out.
No. They were practically gonna bind me down, baby.
I know. You're the reason I had to put apples in my dress.
There's a picture, the gold swimsuits at the hairdresser Gladys had this gold scaparelli, beautiful swimsuit in the 50s, she was like Marilyn. And she said whoever fills out the swimsuit first gets it.
What me?
Hanging in my closet. And there's a picture of me in the gold swimsuit with little heels going ta-da, and she's standing next to me like holding my coat going,
I think I'm literally like this.
horrified. So yeah, we went through the whole puberty nightmare, but thank God we're on a show because we didn't have to worry like, will I get the next TV movie, will I get the next episode? We were there, and we had to display our terrible adolescence in front of all of you, but it meant we were covered, we worked steadily. I was on the show till I was 19, so it was full awkward age gone, and then I could work, and you were there even longer for God's sake.
Well, yeah, but I'm a tad younger, so I was 19 when it ended. I was 9 when it started.
So we were all the way to adulthood, so by the time we were done with the show, we were over 18, and we cleared all the terrible hurdles of that period. So.
I have one last question if the audience wants to start lining up, but I am one of my...
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
One of my favorite
Be
love
merciless,
letters to Little House is an episodic show called Living on a Prairie.
Yeah!
And if any of you have not seen, it's called Living on a Prairie. Please, it's on YouTube. There's 6 episodes, about 5 minutes each long. Oh my God, how did you get involved with that? It was hysterical.
Very random. I was in New York. I have a friend, Jimmy. He is a tour guide. Some of his tour guides are about Broadway. You'll often get a Broadway actor to say, hey, I'll give you a couple $100. You come talk to these students about being on Broadway. And there was this very nice lady, Pamela Bob, who's in several Broadway shows, and she came and lectured to students. And then he said, she's a big fan of yours. So we went and saw her show, and she came to my show, and we're sitting there at dinner after she's seen my stand-up show and says, I'm thinking of writing a web series because I'm kind of obsessed. She said, okay, she's obsessed with Little House. But she said, I wrote about this woman who's like way more obsessed, like can't keep a relationship or a job. She's just Little House in the Prairie. And so she wrote these episodes, but this woman is wonderfully obsessed with Little House to the point of hilarity. And I play her therapist. So yes, it's genius, as you can imagine.
Right, and Charlotte Stewart's in it too.
She's a bartender.
She's a bartender, which is apropos.
Covered in tattoos.
And Charlotte's Miss Beatles, in case any of you didn't know.
Yes, a tattooed Miss Beetle.
Yeah.
You know, the times they are changing.
In honor of that show, Alison, I'm a bonnet head addict.
We started that. They called them Bonhead Anonymous, but we were sitting around one day years ago and said, what do we call these people who, and she said, like, is it houseies, like trekkies? And I said, bonnet heads. And it has stuck.
Did you know that a bonnet head is a type of shark?
Why is that so appropriate?
Legitimate. I was in the Omaha, no, I don't know, maybe some aquarium, and I was in the shark place, And they said, we have bonnet heads. And I went, in the tank? That's not very... Oh, sharks! Oh! Ooh. We chose poorly.
Right. Well, anyway, again, living on a prairie, and you'll understand the bonnet head thing if you watch one of the episodes. Oh my God, I've never laughed so hard. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have it written down because, well, when I met Melissa a couple days ago, I forgot my name, so. So I knew I better write my question. My husband had to tell you what my name is. Okay. Are there, for both of you, are there any parenting styles or methods of dealing with people that you learned from Mom and Pa?
It's different for both of us.
Well, this is true, and anything goes, that have stuck with you and you appreciate, have used, or even didn't like and didn't use.
I've actually heard myself say to the boys, you can do anything you put your mind to. Once you set your mind to it, you can do anything. And I've actually also said, cash on the barrel, please. And they look at me like, what is that? Well, you should probably watch Little House on the Prairie and you'd understand. No, Mom, that's for girls. Except for one, I have one son who did watch. Michael, of course. My son Michael, because... Exactly, and he knew. So he's like, I gotta watch this because I gotta see who I'm named after. And a funny, tiny, weird story, when I did the musical, as you know, and I played Mom, because, if I played Laura, it would have been like, little whatever happened to Baby Jane on the Prairie. I played Mom, and my son Michael played Willie, which was originally played by my brother, Jonathan.
And he was great. I was happy that when Richard Bull, who played my Pa, Nels Olson, I was visiting him in Chicago before he went to the motion picture home and and we were chatting. I was telling all the things I was doing, and he said, in full, perfect Nels Olson, I'm so glad to hear that you've grown up to be a good businesswoman. We were worried you'd become a flibberty gibbet. So yes, Nels was 100% Nels and absolutely a schoolmate.
One of my favorite Richard Bull stories was towards the end too, and I think it was Dean Butler who told me this, went to go see him at Motion Picture and said, how are you doing? And Scotty, Catherine McGregor, who played Mrs. Olson, was also in the Motion Picture home.
Same retirement.
And they were the same retirement home, and he said, I cannot escape her. And then there were expletives, but I cannot escape that.
And they checked in at the same time, which was not they weren't supposed to do. He had made reservations
with his wife.
Yeah, him and his wife Bobby Bull. He's not very He and Bobby Bull had made arrangements 2 years in advance or something to sell the condo. Catherine said, I'm not going to motion picture. You know, the actors talking shop. I didn't want to go. She was like, no. Last minute, the doctor says, no, you really should go to an assisted living thing. She moves it. They wind up moving in the same week.
I can't escape the woman.
The cafeteria.
No.
And you're in your 90s, like on medication, and there's Nels and Harriet arguing in line.
By the way, you and I will probably end up there.
We totally will at the same time.
Anyway, I'm a guy, but...
Thank you for clarifying. I was a little confused. Now it is. That's so much better.
But I grew up reading the Little House on the Prairie books because my mom had them as a little girl, and she read them. So we read them as a family before the series came out. So the series was wonderful. We watched it as a family. And I was just wondering, for each of you, Melissa, you read the books, Allison, you didn't, but you're both in the series, and were able to participate in all the folks about the wisdom there, and Michael Landon was great as Paul, and for you, and just as a character of the show. How did this series help you with your life going forward? For both of you?
Well, gosh.
In the sense of preparing you and guiding you?
Oh, well, I mean, certainly on a personal side, I learned, as everyone on that show did, all the kids did, how to be a professional in this business. And the best kind of professional. I learned that family was more important than anything, including work. And I think, a lot of the stories we told, a perfect example is the Wisdom of Solomon conversation. all that stuff was very enlightening to me. I didn't know a lot. And we were telling the stories of the time, but through the lens of the 1800s. Like the episode we did with Richard Mulligan, being a Civil War veteran coming home addicted to morphine, was exactly what was happening with the vets coming home from Vietnam at that time. So we were a reflection of America at that time through the lens of the 1800s, and those were the stories Michael told. And so you couldn't help but have a social conscience about the issues affecting Americans, because we were telling the stories that were America, and still are. Obviously, if the laws of the Prairie is still popular, we're still, unfortunately, telling a lot of the same stories. We're getting there, but there's a long way to go.
And in my case, nothing is so instructive as a bad example. Just don't be me.
Thanks, guys.
I know. I'm so sorry. We see you both snort when I laugh. So sad.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. My name is Melissa Sue. So I was blown away when I was like, oh, her name is Melissa, and her name is Melissa Sue. Oh my gosh, it's like I'm half famous or something somehow. Anyways, so what I love about Little House on the Prairie, having watched it, over a lot of years, is how much it helped me to understand like what people went through during those times. Is there anything that you guys have gotten from like your family history and stuff where you're like, I can relate to that. I see that in these characters. I see my relatives.
My family's all carnies. So it's not I mean, literally, my father started out as an acrobat with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus when he was a baby. So I come from carny people. So we don't, I think just the basic, be kind, love thy neighbor, love each other, and love God, that's it. It's kind of, even though we were carnies, we still had that basic principle. You're from Carnies.
And my father grew up on a farm on the prairie in Saskatchewan.
Oh, well then.
And the whole bit with the milk of the cows and the whole thing. But he left the farm at 15. He said, if I never see another cow, it'll be too soon. And when the show started, he's like, oh no, did it have to be Little House on the Prairie? I kind of did this. Every time there's after the locust, he goes, I did this. Tornado, I did this. And then when they brought on Albert, he said, oh, not the orphans, because he was taken out of an orphanage.
Oh, right.
He said, not orphans and prairie. I'm sorry, I'm out. I can't.
Thank you so much. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
And I wanted to let you guys know how much your show means. I think I speak on behalf of most of these people that growing up with a show like that, you feel like you're a part of the family, but you're just maybe on the prairie down the road that you don't get seen, but you're not the family. And so my question for you is, I'm wondering, I had a very emotional impact when they blew up the buildings and showing it. I want to know if it damaged me, what way did you guys feel from that?
That last episode, you weren't there.
I wasn't there. That was intense, man.
Yeah, dude.
Charlotte will watch it.
Oh, it was like a 3-week-long funeral, because every day was another person saying goodbye. Like a cast member would be finished that day, a cast member would be finished that day, they'd be finished doing that scene, it went on and on and on. They did not allow us there the day they blew everything up for safety reasons. The crew was there, Michael was there. So the last day, we shot that, and it was our reactions to it. And normally, when we were at the ranch, they had our trailers up in one area, and then when we were in town, and then you could walk down one of two paths, come all the way around and come up the bridge, or go through where the Johnny Johnson initial tree is, and go to school that way. And we'd all just kind of trickle down. You'd get ready, and then you'd go down to the set. You'd get ready, you'd go down to the set, or in our case, to school, or whatever was the schoolroom that day. And we all knew this was going to be really emotional, so we actually all stayed up there and waited until we were all done, and we came down in a group. So we all came down the long way, and we rounded the corner, and he was gone. And that was it. And the whole day would be like, we'd all be okay, and then someone would start crying, and everyone, and when I say everyone, the crew, cast and crew would start crying. And then we'd be okay for a little while, and then someone would start crying, and then everyone would start crying again. And it was actually, it turned out to be a really healthy way to say goodbye, because we got to grieve together, and then one by one, we left until there was only 2 of us left.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you.
you.
I was just wondering, who did each of you guys look up to at set? And like, do you have like a little story or something? I
Are
don't
you
know.
pointing at me? Oh, no wonder you're a mess. I look up to me, that's like, I should have a sticker on my back that says, "Don't follow me, I'm lost."
I mean, obviously, we all looked up to Michael,
Yeah.
and we looked up to Catherine and Richard and Karen and all of the adults around us, and certainly Victor French. But really, for me, it was relying on her more than anything, and and you got to. I mean, you made me brave because my whole life I was, as you know, very sheltered, super protected, and I go sleep over at Allison's house, and she go, "Come on, let's go get some ice cream." Next thing I know, I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard.
I would just go out on the street.
Just go out on the street.
Or go
Yeah,
out.
Hollywood, not a night. Hollywood is so.
And then you were driven places, and I'm like, let's go out, and we're just walking, and we're going to basketball.
My mom would literally walk to my friend's house up the block.
Yeah. And we're just walking around the city.
We're walking around downtown Hollywood in the 70s. And I never felt more freedom and joy and happiness, and it made me braver.
And she would come over, and we would go, back then it was screening your
Oh, I wasn't allowed to eat sugar.
which you didn't tell me for like 20 years. She's at my house, and we're baking cookies and making fudge and baking cakes and getting screening yellows on.
We put screaming yellows on her in Hawaiian punch.
No wonder I got sick. And then it was so awful. But then years later, she goes, "Well, as a child, I wasn't allowed to eat sugar." And I said, "What?"
I also wasn't allowed to watch television, but I watched television in her house.
God to tell me that. Oh, you weren't supposed to be up past a certain time.
So we watched Saturday Night
You
Live.
were not supposed to watch Saturday Night Live.
I watched that.
You didn't watch
I
Saturday
also
Night
wasn't allowed
Live.
to watch Love American Style, but I watched that at your house too.
Okay, that was the thing in that era. You knew how progressive your parents were. You were allowed to watch the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family, and then the thing was, were you allowed to watch The Odd Couple?
No.
And if they were very cool, were you allowed to watch Love American Style?
no.
And the kids who could watch Odd Couple but not Love American Style and not.
Grown-ups were kissing on that show.
Oh, yeah. And she'd come over to my house and we turn on the Z channel, watch the cable movies, and she was like, total education. And
Can I sleep over at Allison's again?
hilarious. I looked at, who I thought a great role model, I still think is Gladys Whittencoy, the hairdresser. Who put
You really had an affinity for her. Well, she's the one who put her in the Golden May bathing suit too, so.
Yeah. And she was the one
They were built the same.
on my head and the whole time food.
Exactly, what seafood,
And she was the one who used to say married 7 times, not my fault. And but she had all these stories. But she also, the day I got my trust fund and I was going up to buy a condo, and I was so nervous. My scalp, I was getting a scalp condition from nurse. And she goes, "Okay, what's going on? Your scalp's falling off. You can't lie to me." The scalp tells the truth. I'm really stressed out. She goes, "What?" "Only got the money." And she goes, "Honey, when I was living," she was like, it was like Jolly Party, that when my 17 brothers and sisters were living in one room, blah, 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 in Appalachia. And she said, "And I saved up money when I was 18, I bought a tiny little shack. And I fixed it up, and then I sold it. And then I sold it." She then had a huge 2-story house in Laguna and a real estate license and a thing. And she said, you go buy something, a little house, a condo, whatever, and you do that. You're totally doing the right thing. You don't need to be stressed about it. And she gave me real estate advice and told us moving.
It looks like we have time for about 2
We're terrible. I know we're
questions.
Our answers are
We're so bad.
half an hour long each.
Okay, sorry.
We'll try and shorten those. Don't try and talk faster though, no one will understand. I don't, she doesn't breathe. And I think you have gills.
It's like being an opera singer. I can make it in.
Hi, my question is, did you have any funny experiences when you would go out from filming back into the 70s, with maybe dressing as people from the 1800s?
We didn't dress like that.
Once I went out to the dress. Once.
I went out, well, my mom took me somewhere once dressed.
How bad was it?
Well, it was bad. I got a little bit of hair pulled out.
Catherine McGregor and I got roped into going to an event. It was a charity thing. This was like the Marble School. So, no, it was the one in Coldwater Canyon, that fancy school. And so we went to this charity event for Easter, and they got her the whole outfit. They had us come to the studio. So no one would talk to us. They were all terrified. Catherine was making smalls when you cry. And then I got beat up. Two little girls knocked me down. I lost my hot dog.
How about the time we were walking down the street and the woman jumped between us and tried to protect me?
Yes. They would say from me all the time. They would try to say
Someone else, lady, it's a show.
And then, not in costume, I was in the Hollywood Christmas parade and got hit in the face with an orange McDonald's soda.
It was me.
Well, in case you can't tell, these two were actually best friends during the shooting, and so it's really hard for them, I think, as kids to understand the animosity that the audience might have felt when you guys were.
It was weird because we were like really close.
Okay, remember you had a party, I'm terrible, we're going off again. But you had a party, you were like in your 40s, and it was dry house, it was like a little grown-up lady slumber party. We were making like fudge and fondue and things, and having a lovely time, and this woman stood there in the kitchen and said, "It's so great to see you two getting along now." She goes, "Is there something in the Inquirer that we had a few? What's something in the tabloids? What do you mean getting along now?" And we're staring at her, and the light bulb is not going on. And she said, "Oh, you know, when you were younger." And we're both going, and finally the light goes on.
We're on the show. I don't think I invited her back after that.
You gave her, because you said, "You're in the industry, your husband works at Universal." It's like, how did, this was a grown-up lady who was like in industry, and she completely believed everything.
That's because we're so good. We're such brilliant actors.
What was your favorite scene to film together, or your least favorite scene to film together?
Well, I mean, we have to talk about it. We have to. Yeah, I think we have to go there. When I read it, I thought, this is going to be the greatest day of my life. I'm going to shove her down a hill in a wheelchair. And I said, this is going to be fun. And she said, yes, it is. And it was fun for me. It was a little effort for you.
A little, okay, the stunt lady did the flip in midair into the pond. I did not do that. But they took me to another hill that was longer and less steep. It was over behind the little house, so there was no pond at the bottom. And then ran me down that so we could get footage of me screaming. But there's no seat belts. There's nothing holding me.
And your arm was really broken.
My arm was really broken. I had broken my arm skateboarding, and they put the 1800s cast over, so I have a real broken arm, and I'm in my nightgown, underwear, and bedroom slippers. That's it. And I'm going, lightly terrified.
Shall we tell the rest of the story? What happened many, many years later?
Mud fight?
No. What?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm a grown-up. Well, clearly, sort of. And I had to go have my first colonoscopy.
And get your colonoscopies. It's very, very important.
I've had a couple since. Not the most pleasant thing, but it's a nap. You have a little nap, and then you can get on with your day. We could talk about this for hours. Anyway, I couldn't know. My relatives were all busy working, and so I called Allison, and I said, "Will you take me?" And she said, "I'll take you." Of course, she knew that I had surgery, so she took me to my colonoscopy, and after it was done, it was time to leave, and they put me in a wheelchair. She's pushing me out the door, and I get partway down the hall, and I go, "Wait a minute!" And I'm, wobbly, and I just hear,
Yes, there are pictures.
I think you posted one recently.
I was so good.
We have time for one more question. We've got 2.5, 3 minutes. Just hold it and talk into it.
Or you can sing. It's up to you.
Sure. I just want to say my mom is a huge fan of you all and the show, and she wants you to know that if you ever find yourselves around town or in town, that you can stop by and have a home-cooked meal on her.
That's so sweet. Are you taking this for her?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi Mom. I like fried chicken's my favorite. What would you like?
Oh my gosh. chicken and the fish more. Mashed potatoes? Just
No
mashed
red
potatoes? Yeah, no.
Maybe some green beans.
I'm sure we can figure something out.
Well, thanks.
She wants to know, what was it like working on the show itself on Little House on the Prairie?
Just like the day, oh my God. It was a lot of work.
It was work, but it was also fun. It was, you know what, I tell people all the time that if you have to be a kid actor and grow up on any set, ours was the set you wanted to grow up on. Because they were at least relatively mindful of the fact that we were children and allowed us to be children. They expected us to be professionals and actually treated us like peers when we were actually filming, which was really cool. But then school was really important, and our relationships with our families and each other were really important, and so that I think enabled us a lot to grow up a little.
All the other more normal child actors I know also, you guys went a lot of that was the show to get on. It really was treated so well.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody.